In the previous class, we had an introduction about pneumonia and we had discussed in detail about community acquired bacterial pneumonia, which was acute. Today's class will be discussing about community acquired viral pneumonia. Coming to the etiology of this community acquired viral pneumonia, obviously it is a bunch of viruses which are causing this disease. So the common viruses which cause community acquired viral pneumonia, those include influenza viruses which cause flu, as well as respiratory syncytial viruses. So these two are the most common viruses which cause viral pneumonia. Nothing much to talk about the pathophysiology of these viral pneumonias. Most of the times, viral pneumonias begin as upper respiratory tract infection, later on to involve the lower respiratory tract or lung. Coming to the appearance, morphologically all viral infections have similar appearance. So they begin with upper respiratory infections, as I told you in pathophysiology. Then later on they go on to involve lungs. So grossly, lungs can either have a patchy involvement or whole lobe can be involved. Either one lung can be involved or both the lobes can be involved. And the affected areas are generally red, blue and congested. Coming to the microscopy of viral pneumonias, in bacterial pneumonias you had seen that the common cells during the phase of infection was neutrophils. So that is not the case in viral pneumonias. In viral pneumonias it is mononuclear cells. So mononuclear cells are those inflammatory cells which do not have any nuclear lobes. So which are those cells? Lymphocytes, monocytes and plasma cells. In bacterial pneumonia you had seen that within alveoli there were many inflammatory cells, mainly neutrophils and also macrophages later on. However, in viral pneumonias it is mostly within the wall of the alveoli, that is to say the alveolar septum. So alveolar septum is the structure that separates two alveoli. So inflammatory cells will be more in number in that septum. The patient, if later on he develops a secondary bacterial infection, then there are chances that it will look like what we saw in the last class, that is bacterial pneumonia. Moving on to two other pneumonia syndromes. So the first one is healthcare associated and the second is hospital acquired. So there's a subtle difference between these two syndromes, which is that in healthcare associated pneumonia, so the patient develops pneumonia after he leaves the facility most of the times. Whereas in hospital acquired pneumonia, patient is still admitted in the hospital when he develops pneumonia. So the organisms are a bit similar for both of them. So for healthcare associated pneumonia, it is generally methicillin resistant Streptococcus aureus or Pseudomonas. Whereas for hospital acquired pneumonia, it is Streptococcus aureus, pneumococcus as well as Pseudomonas. Risk factors for both of them, however, would be similar, which has various immunocompromised status. So those are the risk factors. Coming to the last topic in pneumonias, that is pneumocystis pneumonia. So pneumocystis pneumonia, if a patient has, then you should be suspecting HIV. So that is the commonest disease wherein pneumocystis pneumonia occurs. So it's an opportunistic fungal infection of the lungs, which is caused by inhalation of this organism, Pneumocystis jirovecii. In HIV, when CD4 plus lymphocytes, they are less than 200 cells, that is when this pneumocystis infection will occur. So generally CD4 lymphocytes are told to be 30 to 60% of all the lymphocytes. So only when they are less than 200 per cubic mm, that is when pneumocystis infection will occur. Morphology wise, grossly the lungs are consolidated and dry and grey. Microscopy wise, interstitial pneumonitis, that is similar to what you saw in viral. And one more thing is alveoli contain pink frothy fluid with the organisms. This is a microscopy image showing the Pneumocystis xeroHC organism. So what you are seeing here is the trophozoite form. So these trophozoites, they form cysts, and within cyst some sporozoites will form, and each of those sporozoites, once they come out of the cyst, will again go on to form a trophozoite. So that is the life cycle of Pneumocystis xeroHC. Clinically, like you all know, HIV is a serious disorder, right? So CD4 lymphocytes keeps on getting depleting. So that is why there's so much of immunocompromised status. So pneumocystis, like I said, occurs only when CD4 counts are very low. So that is why the prognosis, if pneumocystis infection is there, is very bad. So there is rapid onset of dyspnea, that is breathlessness, increased heart rate, non-productive cough, etc. And chest X-ray wise, diffuse infiltrates will be there all over the lung fields. And if untreated, death will occur in 1 or 2 weeks.